Steven? What's wrong, Steven?
I picked the wrong game.
Steven, use your words. Come on.
I picked the wrong game.
Steven, I can't understand you when you're mumbling.
They picked the wrong games.
Who picked the wrong games?
Sony?
Tell us about it.
The PlayStation Classic has had its full game lineup revealed for the world to see and be judge of. And judge we must,
Yes.
Nathan.
Yes.
Okay, so, at least you might be able to tell.
Go sit in a corner, PlayStation. That's what I have to say. Sorry. Think about what you've done.
Not mad, but I am disappointed.
Yeah, I guess I'm not mad either. I guess disappointed will be because... Okay, anyway, just go on and tell them.
Let's go through these. And let me get this out of the way first because these aren't necessarily bad games. But what's the name of this system called?
The PlayStation Classic.
Classic,
right?
Being the key word here. So you're gonna hear me say a lot of the same things repeatedly, but there's a theme here that I think Sony is not grasping. So the first game on the list, and we're gonna go ahead and skip over the 5 that they've already announced because I think those 5 actually weren't bad picks at all. The weirdest one was Jumping Flash, but that's kind of one of those titles where it was one of the very first PlayStation releases, so even though it's not really well known, I mean, neither is Wrecking Crew, and that's on the NES Classic. So,
wait, Wrecking Crew?
Wrecking Crew.
I'm not even aware that that's on there.
Yeah, it's a weird little game. Not all that fun, to be honest, but hey, it's on there. Same with Ice Climbers. It's not a great game.
Hey, I will defend Ice Climbers.
What, in Smash?
No, in
the game,
the NES Classic.
Have you ever played?
I did play. I played it a lot.
I don't.
It's
I don't
kind
like
of
it.
actually no. It was actually really angering. Like you'd fall through. Yeah, never mind.
And the jumping is terrible in it.
I just got frustrated with how I'd fall through the blocks sometimes. That happens.
It does.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, I'm remembering now. It's all coming back.
Not a great game yet. It's on the NES Classic.
Yeah.
So, oops. So gotta share criticism across platforms here. All right. So first on the list, Battle Arena Toshinden. So I don't think this is a bad one. It is an early PlayStation one. I think it might have been, if not a launch title, close to launch. Think early Soul Calibur-like fighting game where everyone has a weapon. You can get ring outs. Not as good as Tekken. Not as good as Bloody Roar, which is my favorite PlayStation fighting game. But yeah, kind of slow. It's that early 3D fighting feel, and if they wanted to do another fighter, they could have done a 2D one, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah, this is it's not a bad pick, but it's kind of a weird pick. And if you've only got 20 games to work with, strange.
Right.
Yeah. Next one, Cool Borders 2. I don't really have much of an issue with this one because I believe, yes, this is the only sports game on the system. And if you have to have a sports game, might as well go with the very 90s snowboarding game.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure plenty of people would have rather them go with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but I'm pretty sure with the weird licensing rights for the music, you wouldn't be able to get something like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on here. So, Cool Borders 2 it is. Destruction Derby. Nobody talks about this game. This is one of the games that I have a real issue with taking one of the 20 slots of this game. It is not a classic. I don't believe it was a very highly rated game at all. It's a racing game, and why didn't they just put? A lot of people are asking this question. If you're going to put a racing game on here, why not put what's considered to be one of the best racing games, Gran Turismo, either 1 or 2? 2 is the better one. I mean, or even Wipeout. Wipeout is kind of like, did you ever play F-Zero?
No. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, think of like futuristic cars that aren't really, they're not on wheels, they're hovering above the ground, but they're like almost like these rockets going along. It's really fun. It's always been fun. I've got one of them I've got the PlayStation 3 version, and it's a really fun racing game. Really, really fast. Super fast. But yeah, Wipeout's not out here, but Destruction Derby, which was, I believe, developed by the same people as the people who made Wipeout, so weird choice. Yeah. Really, really bad choice, Sony. Final Fantasy VII, good one.
Obviously.
One of the 5 ones on there. And I'm sorry, if you had to pick one of the Final Fantasies of the 3 that were on the system, you go with 7.
Yeah.
Enough said. The original Grand Theft Auto.
To me, that belongs on there.
Yes and no.
It's an iconic series.
It didn't really hit its stride until 3.
Right, but I guess it's just like this is one of the like a few that I've actually even heard of, and so that just kind of speaks to the franchise's popularity, which is why it's kind of nice to have it on there to go back to like.
It is different because with 3, that's when it changed to a third-person perspective, open world format. This was still an open world, but it was overhead, and like you're looking top down on the city.
That's odd.
It is odd. So,
but I mean, I don't know. With all the slots in here, I feel like that could still have been one and have everything else be right.
Yeah, I don't know. I've gone back and forth on it. Intelligent Cube, it's an interesting one.
I find this name to be so ironic. Like, you're so intelligent, you couldn't spell cube right. Like, I'm sorry, I just look at that and I'm like,
well, because what's the initials for it?
Hey, maybe they're a little more intelligent than I thought they were.
There was just an added dimension.
I don't know, sorry.
Wait,
it still just looks really funny to me. Like, cube.
I'm intelligent. I spell cube.
Is this like a puzzle game? Because that's what it sounds like.
It is, but you move around and you're kind of like on these floating platforms that are made out of cubes, and cubes kind of move at you and try to push you off a platform. But yeah, it's like a platform puzzle game, which I don't mind being on here. It's got a cult following.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks interesting.
So yeah, I'm actually interested to play it. Jumping Flash, I've already talked about. Metal Gear Solid, yes,
of course,
classic game, great pick. I think this would have been a total loss, just about, if you didn't have Metal Gear Solid on here. Because Final Fantasy VII, you can download and play on anything else, but if you didn't have those two games really define PlayStation. So good on you. You got both of them. But let's move on to the rest. Mr. Driller.
Good old Mr. Driller.
I didn't even know this game was on the system. I remember the drilling series was one of the last games released on the Game Boy Advance. There's a drill game, and it's like from the same series, but
is this like Dig Dug? What are we talking about here?
Think Dig Dug, but more complicated. Like you've got an air supply you've got to keep track of. It is 2D. You've got an air supply that you've got to keep track of, and on top of that, you can cave yourself in and kill yourself. I don't understand what the point of the game is, but this is another bad pick. Like, not good. Very bad. Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. I've never played it, but a lot of people say really good things about it. It's one of those types of games that we don't really see anymore. Everything is pre-rendered. Think Donkey Kong Country, where like the backgrounds are all like this really cool looking aesthetic. The characters are weird. Like it's very European looking game. Like, I don't know, there's just something about European games where they have this kind of weirdness to them. Like the art style is different.
What are you, a racist, Steven?
No, European is not a race. So I'm a continentalist.
All right.
Or continentist.
Okay, I feel like Rayman is kind of a classic.
Rayman is. I'm okay. I'm good with Rayman.
Yeah. Another one that I've actually heard of.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rayman is still around, still making games.
Kind of a weird franchise, weird looking main character. I've always thought
he's European also.
Oh, okay. That explains it. Those darn Europeans.
Always bringing their weird stuff over. Resident Evil Director's Cut. Yes. I know a lot of people would have preferred it to be 2 on here instead, but I haven't played any of the original trilogy, so that is definitely one I'm looking forward to playing. Revelations Persona. This is the first game in the Persona series, and I don't know if I don't think I've communicated this on the podcast, but number one, I'm not a fan of the Persona games. Have you heard of the Persona games? They're pretty much PlayStation exclusive games, and my issue with them is, number one, I don't like the art style. I know a lot of people love the art style of Persona. I don't. It's just that weird. I think Atlas makes those games. It's like, it's an anime style, but everyone looks like super skinny, and they're all drawn from really weird angles.
So
like,
what kind of game is it?
It's an RPG. It's a JRPG.
Okay.
And it kind of has a Pokemon element where you gain like demons or spirits or something to fight on your behalf. My issue is it's always the same thing. It's always like you're a school student going to school, and the school has like a dark side to it. I've never played the game. They're probably, if anyone's watching this and they've played the game, they're probably like, no, it's much more complicated than that. That's fine. That's great. It doesn't interest me. It just, I can't get past that art style. The games are like super, super long. Like you can, even if you just play through the main story and don't do any of the side stuff, it's still going to be like 60 hours. It's, it doesn't interest me. And this first game was not popular. It's not a classic by any means. And it kind of, it makes me a bit mad just because,
I mean,
you only have it in here because the series is popular now.
Is it popular though? I've never heard of it.
It has a niche following, but still, it's not a classic by any means. Like, this game doesn't belong on here. It doesn't. Anyway, rant over. Moving on. Ridge Racer Type 4, that's a good pick.
That was one of the ones we already knew, right?
Yeah, we did know about that, but I do think it's a good pick. Another puzzling one. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo.
Steven's got the joke. So,
along with Resident Evil Director's Cut, this is another Capcom game.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are Capcom games on here. We have this game, but we don't have any of the Street Fighter Alpha games. We don't have any of the Mega Man games. You have Mega Man X4, X5, X6.
I didn't even think about that, the X series.
Mega Man Legends. Like, Mega Man Legends is my jam. Like, that is my favorite Mega Man game of all time. Nothing comes close to it. It's a third-person shooter with RPG elements, like you can equip different parts to your buster and power it up. Very anime-looking. It looks like cel-shaded, even though cel-shading really wasn't a thing in video games back then. But for its time, it still looks good to this day. The art style. Yeah, it's great. I love Mega Man Legends. But we get Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. And yeah, I've heard that is a great puzzle game, but we already have 2 puzzle games out of 20. That seems a bit excessive. Like, puzzle is not one of the more popular genres of video games as it is.
Especially not for consoles.
Yeah.
We have mobile phones for that.
And it's like they're doing 2 of everything. Like, okay, 2 RPGs, Final Fantasy VII and Revelations Persona, 2 racing games,
right? Destruction
Derby and Ridge Racer, 2 fighters, Tekken 3 and Battle Arena Toshinden. Like, they were, they shouldn't have done it that way. If that was kind of like, oh, we'll just do 2 of each. That's kind of weird and dumb. Better options out there. Siphon Filter. This one, I'm not a fan of Siphon Filter. I've never played it. It's an action game similar to... It's kind of a combination between Metal Gear Solid and GoldenEye. Like, it's like Metal Gear Solid in that it's... there's stealth elements to it, and it's third person. But it's very, like, shooter friendly. Like, there's more than just stealth to it. Like, a lot of... It was kind of like... It kind of felt like PlayStation's answer to GoldenEye at the time.
So,
GoldenEye,
was that an Xbox thing?
Nintendo 64.
Oh, okay.
James
that's
Bond.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah. I'm familiar with the game. I just never knew what it was on.
Yeah. So even though like it may not tickle my fancy, I'm still kind of okay, throw it on there. It's a classic PlayStation game. Tekken 3.
Right.
That's the best Tekken you could have had on there. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. This is a multi-plat game, so that came out on other platforms. I don't know much about it, but I can say with I don't know that I can find anyone to disagree with me. This is not a classic PlayStation game. It's a first-person shooter. You can say that, but without the dual sticks, because you're not going to have DualShock controllers, it's kind of going to be weird to play it.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And same goes for Metal Gear Solid. Like, there were elements of that game that could only be accessed using the DualShock controller. So, kind of weird. It's weird that they didn't just include those. Maybe they'll release them at a different date. But yeah, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, I would say, is a bad pick. Twisted Metal. Classic game. They should have gone with 2. 2 is the more popular one. It's the more polished game. It's the game that everyone remembers when they think about the series on the original PlayStation. They should have gone with 2. One's not... I've actually never played one, but based on what I've heard of it...
You don't have to have played it to play the second one?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, they fill you in on what happens in this... What happens in the first game is covered in the second game.
Right.
Anyway, so... but car combat... A lot of cars. A lot of car driving.
That's true.
And okay, Wild Arms. Well, that's your third RPG, which I'm looking forward to. Like that was
a weird sounding game. It's
yeah,
just like a bunch of people going.
Well, Wild Arms, kind of like a Wild West Arms, like guns. Okay. Yeah, it's like a Western styled RPG, which
like
was one of
Bebop RPG.
Yeah, one of the 5 that they initially revealed. But okay, solid pick. But
all right, Steven, when are you going to read me the Crash Bandicoot games? Where's Spyro? When are you gonna announce those? I'm waiting. Oh wait, we already reached 20. Darn, that's all, folks.
So I was wrong.
We were wrong
about there's no Crash.
Everyone's stupid arguments were right.
There's no Spyro.
They remain stupid arguments, and they're stupid reasons.
There's no Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Now, okay, I was wrong. I'll be the first to admit that. And that was my opinion. I mean, you agreed with me, but still, I'll just say that I was wrong. Here's why this is a stupid argument, though. Like the whole, oh, well, there are remasters available for these games. Really? Resident Evil? That has a remaster. You can download
Final
it
Fantasy
today.
VII?
Well, they're working on it, but who knows when
it's going to come out. But aren't there a bunch of other versions
Final Fantasy VII you can download on PlayStation 4. And PlayStation 3 and Vita and PSP.
Yeah.
Like, just because you can get the game today doesn't mean it doesn't belong on this system or a remastered version of it. That has nothing to do with it.
Do you think maybe Sony didn't do it just because they want people to get the the Crash Bandicoot stuff and the Spyro thing separate, when it comes out? The Bandicoot thing's already out, right? Yeah.
It's been out for over a year.
But once that and the Spyro, they just want people those sales to do better. You think that's why?
Well, here's the deal. With 20 game spaces, I never expected them to do all 3 Crash games and all 3 Spyro games. You pick one. I would do for Crash, I would pick 3. For Spyro, I'd be happy with any of them. I like the first one the best.
How many are there? 3?
3.
Oh, right.
But I feel like just pick the one that's people consider the best.
My thing about it is it's which I guess isn't really a fair comparison because the NES Classic had way more games. But to me, it's
a more fair comparison would be the Super Nintendo Classic, because that only had 21, with Star Fox 2 being the 21st game.
Well,
so it only had the first Donkey Kong Country. A lot of people consider Donkey Kong Country 2 to be the better game, but they only picked 1 from the 3 of those games.
Yeah, I guess what I was thinking was just like I was gonna say like because like the NES Classic has all 3 Mario games. To me, like Crash Bandicoot is to the PlayStation what Mario was to the NES back in the day.
Yes.
And so that's why I was kind of thinking like all 3, but like at the very least 1, like you said. So it's like,
but the thing with Crash, it's like on PlayStation, it's been out for over a year. If people wanted this game, they were going to buy it. Also, here's the deal. A remaster should not be considered the same game as the game that, or a remake should not be considered the same game as its original version.
Right.
It should not. Plain and simple. Like, and here's the deal. So, maybe people want to see Crash Bandicoot in its original form. Like, hey, well, this is a really good game. Was it as good on the original PlayStation from a gameplay perspective? Oh, let me go and see. A lot of people actually prefer the controls better in the original PlayStation version of Crash Bandicoot because there's something weird about the jumping in the game. I haven't played through the whole thing. I played through some of the opening levels and it seemed fine for me. I 100%ed all 3 of those original games on PlayStation, so like multiple times. So I didn't notice anything weird other than all 3 games feel the same way now. Whereas there's a big difference between them on the original PlayStation releases. But still, if you only give them one game, think of this as a taste test, like as a teaser. Give them the first game. And if they want to play the other ones, well, you can buy the new one on PlayStation 4, and you get the, this version that you have on the Classic remastered, because this...
And the same concept with Spyro, too, with what's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. You only give them one game, and then they might want to play the others. Yeah. Here's what's crazy to me. Like, what I think Sony doesn't realize about the system is that they don't even know who they're marketing towards. These classic systems aren't really marketed towards core gamers. They are marketed towards people who grew up with PlayStation, or they remember PlayStation from 25 years ago, but they fell out of gaming.
Yeah, it's like, who's going to be missing like Mr. Driller or what's that, like Destruction Derby?
Yeah.
Like replace those 2 or like...
Yes.
Who's going to...
And they just they said, well, and they just re-released Symphony of the Night on PlayStation 4. Again,
right, yeah.
What if you don't have a PlayStation 4, but you were going to get this? Like, Konami made the game just like they made Metal Gear Solid, so you're having games made by Konami on here. You couldn't get Symphony of the Night? It just, to me, is like, it's crazy, because guess what? I was interested to play Symphony of the Night on this. I'm not going to go download the PlayStation 4 version. Like, that's not a sale that they lost.
Right.
By not having it on there. I don't think people do that. Well, maybe I'm projecting a little bit, but I really don't think it would have hurt the sales all that much. I really don't. You either want this thing or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of disappointed. I said a while ago, like I would want, if I were to buy, like get it, I would really be interested in it for Crash Bandicoot and like Spyro.
Right.
And that's like,
and they're not even coming on it.
No, not even one game from each. So
there's just one thing that I can think of to make this all better. Hopefully this thing gets hacked and cracked open just like the NES and Super NES Classic.
That would be crazy. I don't know. Is it simple enough for that to be able to be done?
Well,
I don't know.
Nothing is unhackable,
right?
And it's just it's not a question of if, but when. How long will it take? Someone will crack it, and I would think that the hacking community, after this, lineup got revealed, like someone just like, oh, let me add it.
Yeah.
The only thing that will be an issue is, this number one. So the NES and the Super NES, they have a little over 300 megs of storage in them. This, you wouldn't even fit one. You might fit one game.
One extra.
Well, one game period. If this had that much memory, that much
this
space.
Has way more.
Yeah, these games are much
so,
bigger.
Do you think there's room to add more, or would it have to be replaced? That's Because like
that's I'm not sure. But well, you know what? If there's just enough for these 20 games, I hope that they do make a way so that it's just like, oh, okay, you don't want Destruction Derby on there, take it off and throw on Gran Turismo. Replace the games with something else that you actually want to play. I think someone will at least do that, but it all depends on how much. As far as just adding additional games, it depends on how much memory it actually has. Because
to be determined.
Yeah, the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic are using like not anywhere near close to their maximum capacity.
That's kind of weird. Like, why do they do that?
It's probably just because they probably just purchased like these aren't Raspberry Pis, but like they're industry standard Raspberry Pis where they can emulate NES and Super NES games just fine. Because they are the same on the inside. NES and Super NES Classic. There's no difference on the inside. It's the same unit. So just it comes with 300 megs, and Nintendo was just like, oh great, that's enough to throw on 30 NES games and 21 Super Nintendo games.
Okay.
So that's most likely why the Nintendo 64 may even have the same storage, because those games weren't all that big either, because they were still on cartridges.
Are you talking about the classic?
Yeah, whenever they come out with the Nintendo 64.
They haven't even announced that yet, right?
Haven't announced it, but
dude,
not a hard bar to leap over, Nintendo, if you want to beat Sony here with bringing back the console wars.
Oh, dude, I might have to get that. Yeah. With Ocarina of Time and 64, like
Super Mario 64.
Yeah,
we all know which one the better game is.
Oh boy, but they're both great. I love them both. Like, that would be awesome.
Yeah, like that would definitely be.
I don't even know what else would be on there, but honestly, I wouldn't care.
Smash, the original Smash.
Oh, that I don't care about Smash, but like, what else?
You should care.
What else would be? Oh, gosh, I'm trying.
Star Fox 64.
Right, do a barrel roll.
Do a barrel roll.
Is there anything else like that's like really good?
A lot of people like Mario Kart 64.
Oh, I think that I like Mario. You don't like Mario Kart, but I do.
I'm not a big fan of it now.
But yeah, I mean the 3-prong controllers are awful. But
Mario Party.
What if they released like different kind of? Nah, they couldn't do that.
What?
Like different controllers for the 64 Classic? That'd be kind of stupid, though.
I would just hope that they would be updated.
What do you mean?
Like, at the very least,
not have 3 prongs?
Well, okay, the 3-prong thing I'm not the biggest fan of, but at the same time, it's functional, it works. As long as you're holding it the right way, Nathan. Referred to our earlier video. Yeah. I just want them to replace that joystick. Because that joystick,
the middle one,
you gotta use a different one, like a GameCube one, because it would break on you. It just it would not it would like just fall down. Like, you know how it would the neutral position.
Yeah, it wouldn't stay in the middle like the spring.
After a while, it would just wear out. Yeah, so
fix that definitely.
Well, Sony, I would say that you tried your best. But deep down, I know that's not true. I don't think it's true at all.